Welcome everyone to another episode of BizzTalk Africa. And this is actually a really special BizzTalk. This is our very first session of a new series with Bureau Veritas, Shaping a World of Trust, which, as you know, we did one show like that a few weeks ago, but it wasn't officially part of the series. This is the official first episode of this new series with Bureau Veritas. We're really excited. I'm your host, Jason Schuster, representing BizzTech, and we have with us my wonderful co-host, Vidya Mike. And we have a great guest with us today, Clayton Kide. Is it Kide or Kid?
It's a kid, actually.
It is Kid. Oh, man, I messed it up. I'm sorry. Clayton, really glad to have you. Clayton is the head of IT for Bureau Veritas there in Johannesburg, Africa. Really excited to have you here. We're discussing cybersecurity. And as it pertains to Africa, we're going to learn a little bit more about what Bureau Veritas does in that regard. But Clayton, could you just take 2 minutes? Go ahead and introduce yourself. Tell the audience a little bit about your background, your perspective, so that they understand, where you're coming from as we discuss these topics.
Thanks, Jason, and good afternoon to all of the listeners. So I'm Clayton Kidd, based in Johannesburg, South Africa. Currently, heading the role of IT for Africa for Bureau Veritas, and I basically come from very foundational roots of IT, from tech support into administration, management, and then more senior management guiding strategy for IT. I got 16 years of experience within South Africa and on the African continent. Yeah, and I just joined Bureau Veritas, and yeah, looking forward to sharing some knowledge on this talk.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Clayton. Really glad to have you. So we were also supposed to have another guest today. We were supposed to have Mark again, but Mark's feeling under the weather. So if the audience could please wish Mark well, that he recovers quickly and that we can see his face next time that we do this.
Absolutely. But Clayton, you're the star today.
That's right.
Yeah.
No pressure. No pressure.
No pressure. That's right. Well, so let's start this off in the terms that we're discussing it today. What is cybersecurity?
Okay, Jason, just for the audience, to give them some context, I'd like to just introduce Bureau Veritas relatively quickly, and then we can jump into the questions. So
Absolutely.
yeah, Bureau Veritas is a leading company in testing, inspection, and certification industry. Our role is to ensure products, services, infrastructures or processes on one side are compliant reciprocally with local norms, regulations, or contract regarding quality, health, safety, environment, and social responsibility. I mean, we have been in existence for almost 190 years, and we are still innovating. So I thought it would be very good to give an introduction to who Bureau Veritas is.
Hey, absolutely. I appreciate that, Clayton. Now, what's I guess the next big question is, what's the tie-in? What's the tie-in between Bureau Veritas and cybersecurity?
So, Bureau Veritas, with our leading experience in certification, inspection, testing, and risk management, there's a bigger touch point, because cybersecurity is no longer only the use of technology to fight cybercrime, but it's developing a risk management framework to deal with cybercrime. Especially since cybercrime now also includes the user communities and no longer devices that are sitting on the edges of your network, which is, the users are actually a core proponent in the fight against cybercrime. So that is our touch point, when it comes to the management of risk.
And do you see that as cybercrime being an issue or a risk internally as well as externally? So do you guys help your clients as well on this topic?
So yeah, we see cybercrime as a risk internally, and externally because of the users that are involved, and generally a term called a cyber culture, which has a huge reliance on your user base, you know, especially as user base or the users within the companies are actually like the first points of defense against cybersecurity and cybercrime.
You used an interesting word earlier. You're still
Yes.
innovating, Bureau Veritas.
Yes.
That's a key word there, right? Because it's sort of, to me, what I got from that and your years in IT as you sort of work your way up, you know, it's Bureau Veritas sort of like it brings in technology, right? It uses as much technology as it possibly can to do the certification, to do what it does, communicate inside and out. How have you seen cybercrime and the exposure develop from when you started to where you are now? Like, at what speed and when did it really get to the point where you guys are like, yo, look, something's, you know, this is a real issue and we need to deal with it?
Yeah, I guess cybersecurity, you know, if I just take Africa per se, we've seen within Africa cybercrime rise to almost 1,263 attacks per week from 438.
And that is within Africa, or is it?
Yeah,
from...
just according to stats from checkpoints and the likes. So
Oh, wow.
it's really a major thing, you know, with more and more people getting engaged with the technological devices, especially also the mobile penetration on the continent. It has become really a major factor.
That's a huge rise. That's a huge rise.
Absolutely.
What would you say is the driving force behind that rise? Is it just the simple fact that Africa is making huge strides in innovation and technology, or is it something else? Again, I know this is like totally off script. I'm just super curious, Clayton.
Yeah, I know.
I'm gonna hit you with stuff that's not in the script. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no problem. I can say due to the massive penetration of mobile within the continent,
Okay,
and also due to cultural effects, seeing Africa as more of a soft target for cyber criminals, and having them engage so much within technology has seen really an uptick in the attacks of cybercrime.
Yeah.
I wouldn't really say we really innovating, you know, as much, but I would really point it in the direction of the mobile penetration and the fact that we are actually viewed as softer targets for cyber criminals.
that is interesting, and I guess I can see maybe where that perception might come from, but it also seems like that it's really no different than any other target, really. I mean, I don't know. It's
exposure, right, and vulnerabilities.
Yeah,
you know.
There you go.
Yeah,
that's why I have a co-host. I can't do this. And Vinny's brilliant, so. Oh, that's perfect.
Yeah, it's and I think like you're finding as well in Africa, there's a growth, right? And more people, more networks, people are coming online, the access to smartphones and stuff like that. So as you see that rising, you have the ability to penetrate those targets and get it. And especially with the vulnerabilities or lack of knowledge in how to protect yourself, you have those easy targets. One thing I find very interesting and a hot topic right now, there's so many components are thinking, oh yeah, let's be the next payment system for Africa. So I think you know where I'm going, right? I think you're gonna probably see cybercrime, identity thefts, you know, all of those things where people are, you know, just sort of stealing IDs and being able to hack people's account. You're gonna probably see more of that.
Yeah, especially as your signature is linked to your digital identity, right? You're going to experience that more and more, the use of cryptocurrencies, which is linked to your identity. or your digital identity. So you're going to see more and more of that. I don't only think specifically for Africa, but for the world in general.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, I want to come back to something that you talked about earlier. You mentioned something, cybersecurity risk management. What is
Yeah.
the difference between that and just general cybersecurity?
Okay. Very, very good question, Jason. So, you would view cyber security risk management. It takes the idea of real world risk management and applies it to the cyber world. So
Okay.
it involves identifying your risks, vulnerabilities, and applying, administrative actions and comprehensive solutions to make sure that your organization is adequately protected. So it's taking the real world idea of risk management and basically applying, these sets of principles around risk management within the cyber world.
And
Okay.
how would you advise businesses to become more resilient to the exposure to cyber risk? And how do you sort of like, what do you need to do to manage it? So instead of waiting for a penetration to happen, how do you actually, prepare yourself?
Yeah. So I would say, just on the topic of cyber risk management, the framework should focus on four main pillars. And the first is your user community. So education,
Mm.
and then training, awareness, and processes, which include your responses to incidents of cybercrime. And this is where we've seen the creation of GDPR and POPIA as we know it here in South Africa. So, you need to really operate along those four pillars of the user community, training, awareness, and the processes, which include your response to incidents of cybercrime.
Do you know what was really exciting about what you just said?
Yes?
You didn't say anything about buy this app and it will protect you. It comes back to the fundamentals, isn't it? How
Yep.
you manage risk, how you know where your exposure is, and how you deal with it. So you're
Yes.
basically saying, like, if you follow those four pillars as a business, as a person, you could protect yourself. It's about awareness, right?
Yeah. And it's about your user community, they're your first line, I mean, you can imagine if somebody brings their personal laptop, which is infected, onto your corporate network,
Yes.
but if the users are educated about the do's and the don'ts, and actually, the policies around what's happening within IT as it pertains to cybercrime, it really makes a massive difference.
This is a great topic. So what about Wi-Fi's? Allowing, here's your free Wi-Fi, just hop on and we'll steal all your passwords, etc. I mean, what is your view on that? And companies, obviously, they give some level of free Wi-Fi when you go and sit in their foyer. Is that a vulnerable position?
Yes, I would say in some respects it is, because I mean, nobody's actually actively managing that Wi-Fi. I mean, it's an open connection. I mean, you can think about taking a very, very confidential telephone call in front of a whole host of people, everybody can listen in. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's not really that personal, and yeah, I would definitely say that there's an element of risk in doing that.
Very interesting.
A lot to think about. I'm going to be so much more careful now. I won't think twice about paying for more data when I go to South Africa or anywhere, actually. In the US, I mean, always.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think it really matters where. I mean, it's just, this is stuff that everyone needs to know. But like you said, it could be that in parts of Africa, it appears to be a softer target because they're just, maybe it's newer, they're not as familiar with it, whatever it might be. But we obviously we understand the risk to individuals and somewhat on businesses, but why is cybersecurity such a hot topic now with businesses in particular? I mean, I don't think I can turn I can't scroll my LinkedIn feed for more than a few posts before I see something about cybersecurity. Why is it so hot specifically for businesses right now?
So I would say that cybersecurity has become a hot topic because of the effects that it has on organizations delivering services to communities and to our social societies, you know, at large. I mean, you think about it, the reputational damage of a cyber attack is far more severe than the incident itself, you know?
Right.
And 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 cybersecurity in itself affects every area of the globe, you know, and it has an estimated value of $6 trillion just within this year, you know, according to some forecasts from analysts. I mean, if you look at $6 trillion, I'm not sure of the African continent GDP, but I would assume that it's either close or more than the African continent's whole GDP, what it's estimated to rise to. I mean, you know, just on this particular topic of why it's so hot, I mean, we've seen the catastrophic effects of a cyber attack on the NHS in 2017. You know, the attack resulted in thousands of appointments and operations in the hospital, which were cancelled during a week's period. You know, just in South Africa last year, we've seen an attack on one of the hospitals here, you know, affecting bookings and their mail server infrastructure. If we look at the aviation sector, we've witnessed, you know, a cyber attack on British Airways where personal information and credit card information was leaked, and they had to pay a fine of 183 million pounds. So, I mean, it's really a hot topic because of the severe damage that it could potentially do to an organization.
Well, not only that, right? It's such a financial intrusion right now, and that's kind of like the focus. But when you look at where cybersecurity or cyber risk could go, it's personal safety as well could start to become a target and start to be a risky area. What is your prediction in this space? Like, what do you think is going to happen for the rest of this year and next year? How long before you think companies start to wake up and take it a lot more seriously? Like Bureau Veritas obviously said, you know what, this is where we are. We're always in innovation. We want to be at the forefront of this and take it more seriously. What is your prediction for others?
It moves so rapidly, Vidi, that I can't actually give you a prediction because
that's a good
I could
answer.
predict something that happens in 2 months and then you think I'm Nostradamus when it's not the case, just because of how fast it moves. But I mean, there are estimates that by 2025, we're possibly looking at $10 trillion, the effects of cybercrime. So with people forecasting that amount of money, which is almost the size of the Chinese economy, you can really see. And I think maybe within your mind, you're already making a prediction of how far this can go. So for organizations who haven't really taken this topic on seriously, now is the time, you know.
Now is the time.
Yeah, now is the time.
Yeah. Well, I think that's a great segue into what'll probably take up most of the rest of our time, but specifically, what does Bureau Veritas do to address this concern? Like what is it that Bureau Veritas is doing specifically in the realm of cybersecurity? How are we doing this?
Yeah. So we have basically responded by adopting the same approach of viewing this topic through the lens of risk management, right? Focusing on these pillars mentioned earlier around the user community training, awareness, and the processes within the organization. In conjunction to this, if maybe you haven't been alerted, we've acquired a company named Secura, who specializes in cybersecurity. So that's how serious we're actually taking this. And
wow.
you know,
I did not notice.
Yeah, and this has allowed us as Bureau Veritas to leverage both expert cybersecurity skills with our superior knowledge in the area of risk management. You know, the confluence of this enables us to respond in an effective, well-balanced manner, focusing, you know, on technology and the business and addressing the risks. And this is our response.
So that acquisition, is it for internal use, or is this now a product that Bureau Veritas actually have out there for others?
I would say that, you know, it's for the use of the business,
Okay.
and possibly something that we will be offering.
Fantastic.
Excellent. Now, does Bureau Veritas have any external offerings to other businesses? I mean, if, for instance, if let's just say that I'm a business in Africa and I start to take cybersecurity a little bit more seriously, right? And I happen to be working with Bureau Veritas on some other element of my business, maybe just as an intermediary for, you know, overseas transactions. Who knows what it might be? Could I engage with Bureau Veritas to help in this, to beef up cybersecurity, or how would you handle that?
So, you know, we do have some offering around the, you know, conformity of assessment services, you know.
Okay.
Um, as a person actively working within the internal facing side of Bureau Veritas, I'm not too familiar with how the service is fully offered, but what I can say is that we do offer services around risk management and also guiding and helping along getting ISO 27000
Certification. Yeah, the IT.
certification. Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right, and then
how important is
feeds
that?
in.
Or go ahead.
No, that's fine. That's fine. It's because it's the cybersecurity feeds into that particular ISO.
Exactly.
So I think I mean, if you look at where Bureau Veritas is doing internally for themselves, I mean, to be able to offer that accreditation for customers and give them advice, because part of the audit also is identifying, you know, if there are any gaps for clients. So certainly you would be able to help, you know, give clients adequate advice and how to beef up if they have any sort of vulnerability or exposure. So that's I'll come to Bureau Veritas for my 2700 certification for sure.
Yeah, I think the key of it is that we are not a, you know, technology. We're not offering technology, and it's very, very important to view it through the lens of risk management. It's not only the technology. It's not what only sits on the edge or what antivirus you're using. You know, it's a lot bigger than that. And this is the news we want to spread as Bureau Veritas.
Yeah, that's where I was getting to. It's not like you go and buy, you know, let me just sort of get my latest antivirus app and all of a sudden I'm safe. It's not that anymore, right? It's not, there's not one package that sort of secure you. You've got to be aware. As a consumer, as a small business person, I think people need to make sure they're aware. They are, you know, like you educate yourself, you look at the exposures, as you said about the 4 pillars, you know, you sort of make sure you continue to monitor that. And you know, I think it's the only way, right now.
Yep.
Sorry, Jason.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I have one more question before we kind of move into like closing remarks, just kind of last thoughts from Clayton. But let's just say, and this is also way off script. That's okay. I don't care. Let's say that I'm a new business in Africa. What stage of my business do I need to start really putting that focus on cybersecurity? Is it day one, or is it like once you start taking payments? I mean, because I don't know. I feel like it's really not on the minds of most businesses until they start to be a little bit bigger. But in your opinion, where does it start?
It starts from day one, in my opinion. I mean,
Okay.
Many businesses have faltered, I mean, with the whole wave of information technology. Those who started from day one had an edge over those that didn't start at all and realized, hey, we need to start taking information technology more serious. We need to start taking information communication and technology more serious. And now you need to start taking cybersecurity serious from day one, because you are integrated on the internet with millions and millions and millions of different devices, you know, just from your mobile. So I would say from
Yeah.
day one.
Day one.
From
Wow.
it's
They're
That's, I
spying on
think
us, Jason. I
they're
know they
spying.
are. Wait, you sort of go on Google and look at something, and then you look at YouTube, and everything you've looked at is coming over, and like it's the integrated world in which we live in. We don't know what some of these devices are actually doing, the apps, programs, stuff like that. You're right, Clayton. You just need to be aware, and from day one, if you
Yeah.
put something on, you need to know what it does.
exactly.
I like that. I like that. Yeah, I'm a startup guy, and so it's funny that all of the startup manuals, books, and things like that you read, they walk you through all the process of getting a business up and off the ground and raise capital and go out and do this and get your product out to market. I don't think any of them have anything about
Yeah,
cybersecurity. So I think that
absolutely.
there's a precedence now for a new wave of teaching startups all the things, but including making sure that cybersecurity is part of that startup process, so that this is not, the increasing cases, just stop, right?
And
It
this is
starts to go
global,
back.
right? This does
Ah,
not have any borders. It's everywhere.
yeah, absolutely. Clayton, final remarks, 2 or 3 minutes. What are your just kind of last thoughts on cybersecurity, on Bureau Veritas? What else do you want to make sure that the audience knows before we go today?
So, you know, just in closing out, I would like to say, your users are your first line of defense. Look at cybersecurity not as technology, but as risk management, applying a risk management framework, and concentrate on it from day one, because the fact that you are connected to millions and millions of devices, or billions of devices on the net, you have to be aware. There are guys that are looking for easy targets. As I explained earlier, Africa is seen more as a soft target for cyber criminals. So be aware. And also, your points about startups that don't even speak about cybersecurity, it's very, very important, because as I mentioned, there's reputational damage. And what are you trying to build as a startup? Is a reputation. And if you have a reputation for being unsafe on the online world, you can imagine what that would do for your brand that you're trying to build. So that would be my closing remarks. Don't look at cybersecurity just as technology. Look at it from a risk management perspective. Concentrate on your user community and start doing it from day one.
I love it. Thank you, Clayton. So that's just, I feel like yeah, I'm looking at things just a little bit differently
Same
after
here.
talking to you. Like,
Yeah.
wow, I need to beef up my own risk management framework on what I'm doing. So fantastic. Vidi, any other thoughts from you?
No, Clayton, you have, and the same thing, right? It is so relevant what you're talking about. I think when folks look at this, leave your comments if you want to know more. If you want another session, let us know, because this is a huge topic, and I think you broke it down for us. And just like Jason, I'm actually reviewing myself right now. I'm thinking, whoa.
Yeah. Definitely. Well, perfect. Thank you so much, Clayton, for being
Absolutely.
here. Truly very, very informative, very thought-provoking. As always, thank you, Vidi, for joining me today. I
Pleasure.
love it. And please keep an eye out. We're going to be doing more of this series with Bureau Veritas, and it's all focused around shaping a world of trust in the African continent. Really exciting stuff. So until next time, stay safe, stay cyber safe out there.
Yes.
Absolutely. Bye, everybody.
Thank
Bye,
you.
Clayton and
Bye-bye.
Jason.
Thank you,
Thanks,
guys.
Clayton.
Bye-bye.
Nice to meet you. Take
Nice
care.
to meet you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.